Hare Krishna, I welcome all the devotees to this chapter 24 of Canto 3 of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Renunciation of Kardama Muni. We will go through an overview and see the main points and topics of this chapter altogether. I decided to divide this chapter in more or less 6 sections, which we see here very quickly. So Kardama Muni is comforting Devahuti, description of the appearance of Kapiladev, Brahma speaking to Kardama Muni and Devahuti, the handing over of the daughters to the sages, Kardama Muni approaches Lord Kapila, and Kardama Muni practicing sannyasa. Before starting this chapter, it would be nice to do like a prelude, so to understand what take us to these chapters, what's happening before in chapter 23rd. So as we know, Kardama Muni and Devahuti, they are married, and they lived very sumptuously. They satisfied all their material desires. So at a certain point, then, as we know, Devahuti, she was a yogi, so she could understand that sooner or later her husband would have followed the Vedic injunction, so he would take sannyas. So the main problem which Devotee was facing is we see in these 3 points which I made. So the first one is, who will give solace after your departure as a sannyasi? And then, so this was the first point. I mean, she could already feel some fear for her future. And also, she was really upset because she couldn't grasp the full association of such an elevated soul as Kardama Muni, which could have granted her liberation. Well, what she asked from him was just material gratification. So the main concern of Devahuti now is, okay, now that you leave, what will happen to me? So let's see how chapter 24 will answer to those questions. So initially, Kardama Muni will start comforting Devahuti. And the first thing he says to her is like, look, don't worry. You will have a son. And this son will also give you liberation. That's what you are now hankering for. So after telling them what will happen, he will tell us the way, the method, the process in which she will get this son. And then so he practically, his way to comfort her is to give her instructions. So just very simply, we tell her, please do devotional service, follow sadhana through austerities and penance, and then you will please the Lord. And once the Lord is pleased, he will appear in your womb. What I liked in this section is that devotees represent the perfect disciple. She's fully following the instruction of her husband and spiritual master. Very interesting point which is made in this section is that Srila Prabhupada mentioned that sexual attractions tightened the knot in the heart. What is this knot? This knot is ahankar, is our identification with material existence, with the material body. And then it's very interesting, in another point during the purport in this section, it says that ahankara is the connection between matter and spirit. It is the connection point. So how to connect those 2 points which we made? The connection is that following instructions from a spiritual master within an disciplic succession that will make us develop spiritual knowledge. So we will be able to untighten the knot in the heart. We will lose this conception of being the material body. Following section is the appearance of Kapiladeva. Prabhupada analyzes very deeply the reasons why the Lord is appearing. Many of these points I made are appearing in the following purport, but I put them all together just to make the point. So the main reasons for Kapiladeva appearing is he will compile and explain Sankhya philosophy. So what is Sankhya philosophy? Sankhya philosophy allows us to understand the material world, how it works, but at the same time, it gives us spiritual knowledge. In Purport 17, Prabhupada states that through Sankhya Yoga, Sankhya philosophy, you get knowledge, so jnana. But once you get that knowledge about material and spiritual, then anyway, you will have to practice that knowledge, that is vijnana. An interesting commentary that Prabhupada does is that Sankhya Yoga does help people to detach from that deep desire to do fruitive activities. And then in one verse 38, he states what is the aim of Sankhya philosophy, which sounds very much like Bhakti Yoga. And he says that really the main thing is to surrender the activity onto me, onto the Lord, conquer death, and worship the Lord. Another interesting point in this section is that the Lord states that he will appear based on his own will, but he thus considers the desires and he wants to the desires of the devotees, and he wants to satisfy them. Next section will be Brahma speaking to Kardamamuni and Devahuti. At this point, Brahma decides to come down for many reasons. Brahma, as we know, is a pure devotee, as stated in this section. So he knows when the Lord will manifest. Jamakarma Chamedivyam, he knows the pastimes of the Lord. And so he knows that the Lord is already present in the womb of Devahuti. It is beautiful to understand that also Brahma in this section glorifies glorifies Kardamamuni. He does glorify him because he has carried out all his duties, all his instructions in the best way he could. And that pleases Brahma, which is, as we know, the Father. Also, Brahma will speak to Devahuti as an elevated devotee. He does confirm that she will have a son which is a manifestation of God, and that son will give her liberation. Another interesting point of this section is that Brahma states that Kapiladeva is the real one who will give spiritual knowledge through Sankhya philosophy, and it will be followed by the Acharyas. So Brahma is stating who is the real Kapiladeva, what is the real philosophy we have to follow, and being ourselves in a Brahma Sampradaya, then we have to take these words as an authority and believe them and follow them. Now, as we know, Brahma, as all elevated soul, it doesn't come down alone. It is followed by his sons, as you see in this picture. We see like the four sages and Narada Muni. But not only that, also 9 sages came down with him. And the 9 daughters of Kardama Muni and Devahuti, they will become their wives. The interesting things in this section is a question about marriage. We discussed in the previous, in chapter 21st, sorry, about marriage, in Vedic culture and how to apply it in Western country. So this section gives us like a criteria to help our children to select, in case they want to do, the husband or the wife. And the criteria will be to select or to identify their own nature in terms of divine or demoniac qualities, and the qualities of their future husband. That could be a criteria to see if a couple will be at least materially happy. And then it's very interesting purport, and it says, if a person, if a man with demoniac or divine qualities marries he matches a woman with divine qualities, for example, then that's it. The wedding will be successful, at least from a material point of view, in terms of material happiness. So let's give us a criteria, also a point of discussion. At this point, following the words of Brahma, Kardama Muni, as confirmed by Vishnu, as again confirmed by pure devotees, understand that a manifestation of the Lord has appeared in his family. So Kardama Muni does approach Kapiladeva. And the way he approaches it is very interesting. In a certain point, you cannot understand who is the father, who is the son, because for the certain way, in under brackets, the material father approaches his son, but then he's treating him as a superior person, as it is, being a manifestation of God. So he approaches in a very humble way. He prays to the Lord, thanking him for coming down and for the reason why he comes down. And then once he praised him and gave his obeisances, he will then ask him if he can take sannyasa. Quite a few interesting points in this section. For example, there is this comment that the manifestation of God is created from internal energy. I find this point quite relevant because, as Prabhupada explains, if the manifestation of God is created by the internal energy, that means it cannot be created by the material, external energy of the Lord. So there is no way to consider God part of this material world. Other points is why the Lord appears in this world. Of course, as we stated before, is his own will, but it takes into account his devotees, the desire of his devotees, as we said. And then it reciprocates in such a personal and individual way. Because each of us has got a nature, has got an individuality, and we also like to relate with the Lord in a specific way. And the Lord satisfies that. We see in so many stories within the Shastra. For example, Prahlad Maharaj with Lord Nishinkadev, Hanuman with Ramachandra. So the Lord manifests in a form that will satisfy completely his devotees, to enrich the rasa, to enrich the relationship. This is the final section. Kardama Muni at this point got the authorization of his son Kapiladeva, and so then he leaves to take sannyasa. There is an interesting question that Srila Prabhupada does, is that why do you want to take sannyasa if God is in your house? I mean, what is the need in a certain way to go and look for God if you have God in your house as your son? And then the interesting point is that Kardama Muni acted to give an example to society. And then he says that the reason why he accepted sannyas is because he wanted to follow the injunctions of the Vedic scriptures. So to give an example to the public, to the people. The story continues that so Kardamuni is a sannyasi now, is a person who will walk through the world trying to deepen his relationship with the Lord. So he's not Manandi. And we will see that gradually he will develop qualities and symptoms which are characteristics of advanced people, advanced personalities. And gradually he will then develop pure devotional service, and then he'll be entitled to go back to Godhead. Bhagavati Gati. Many points in this section. The main one is about sannyasa. Srila Prabhupada makes many references in taking sannyasa in Kali Yuga. So to be or not to be, I mean, is the correct things or not? Even if we know Lord Chaitanya said no one should take sannyasa in Kali Yuga. Of course, as we see the picture in the background, Srila Prabhupada, of course, took sannyasa. Many of our acharyas did, many of these disciples of Srila Prabhupada also did. So, of course, it's something which has to be done. But I guess that comment is mainly due to make us conscious of the importance to take sannyas, or to be really serious in that act of taking sannyas. It cannot be taken light, as it happens in other religious movements, in which the sannyasa covers still material desires, like having women, collecting riches, getting money, fame, distinction. So that's what Srila Prabhupada wants to warn us about. And another interesting point is what is the position of women in comparison to sannyasa? So what about sannyasini? Are they allowed in our ISKCON movement? Is it okay to have women dressed in orange, renunciating? Prabhupada states that there is no sanction in the Vedic literature for a woman accepting sannyasa. I don't know what to say. I think maybe would be nice to discuss all together the principles behind sannyasa. Maybe today sannyasini in ISKCON movement, they're not dressing orange, maybe they're dressing white. I don't know, who knows? Yes or not? Well, we can discuss it together and see the principle and extrapolate some conclusion. Okay, thank you very much. Those are the main points of this chapter. I hope we can nicely discuss all together. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.